record. All right, listeners and watchers, depending on if you're watching this on YouTube or your podcast thing, I am going a second time around with a guy that I know pretty well and runs a fabulous company up in Columbus, Ohio. Even though he is an Ohio State Buckeye, we won't hold that against him. Go Tigers! I got Jerry Linkhorn here. How you doing this morning, Jerry?
I'm doing well, especially after a football game last night. That was pretty exciting. The Buckeyes got the win, so doing well.
Yeah. So I guess that was that the Big Ten championship? Was that what?
Yeah.
So we were at the ACC championship, Clemson and Virginia. But I was watching all the Clemson. It would come up on the scoreboard, and I mean, I don't know if it's scarcity mentality or whatever, but one top 14 kind of roots when another top 14 is not
right.
doing well because maybe that moves up their ranking. I get it that that's a scarcity mentality. But they were cheering because you guys were down 0-14 at one point, but y'all came back 30-something.
Yeah, then it was like 21-7 at halftime.
Yeah.
So, they won 34-21, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'll be flat honest. At the Clemson-Virginia game, I mean, the score was like 60-something, 17. But I'm telling you, man, I worry about our defense. Even Virginia was moving the ball at will, even though they only got 17 points. They moved it at will. So I'll be the first one to tell you there's a little bit of a chink in the armor there. So I hope.
Yeah.
And we might meet. I don't know. You guys are going to be 1 or 2, and we're going to be 3, it looks like. So I don't know. Was it 2 places?
It ended up being the first game, too.
Yeah.
Which is in the Fiesta Bowl, I think.
Yeah. I think.
In Arizona.
And it's funny, I'm on all these Clemson bulletin boards, and, they hate Paul Feinbaum, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Because he's like, he loves Alabama. He loves the SEC.
Yep.
He is like, he does little snippy things against Clemson, boy. And I don't know. Anyway, I'm sure the listeners out there are tired of.
Yeah, he does the same thing for Ohio State. So.
Does he really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he went to Tennessee or something. But anyway, they do not like that guy. But anyway, well, let's get started. So, Jerry, I know you real well, and I know a lot of the listeners know you real well, but there's probably a couple that are listening to this for the first time who don't know who you are. So give us a little background about yourself and your company and what you do and that sort of thing.
Okay. So, obviously live in Columbus, Ohio. Actually grew up in upstate New York and moved to Columbus when I was 11 years old. My dad was a hard worker. I'd say workaholic. Worked 7 days a week. Just worked a lot. So I kind of would consider myself workaholic as well, and I kind of got that from him. You don't get things easy in life by not working for it. So, and then my grandfather and my uncle were both builders, so I kind of got into that industry growing up. Played sports, played college football, and just loved the outdoors and loved being active. My wife calls me Action Jackson. We go on vacation. I can't sit at the beach doing anything. So
that's me. I can't. That just sitting at the beach laying out. I'm like, get bored, man. I got to do something.
Right. I know. We went to Hawaii on our honeymoon. I was taking boogie board lessons, surfboard lessons, playing volleyball, whether it's in the pool or on the beach, just doing something. But anyway, so we have, I was in the framing business for a while, and I got into, more general construction, building houses, things like that. And then started my home inspection business in 2007. Just me, myself, and I wearing all the hats.
Right.
And then, fast forward to today, we've got 20 employees.
Wow, nice.
15 of us doing inspections. We'll do over 4,100 inspections this year, and over $2 million for the 3rd year in a row. So.
Wow, that's great. Yeah, you've even increased since. And for all the listeners out there, Jerry was one of my first interviews, like number 3 or 4 or 5, somewhere in there, about where we're going to fall for the college playoffs. But but that was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. So you've actually So you didn't have this many at that point. So you've actually grown since then.
Right. Yep.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and again, I know you answered this in the other question, but you talked about framing and you've done some of that, but what specifically was the trigger to get into home inspection business?
So, I was always been around the building industry. So I had a knack for doing a lot of different things. I didn't only do framing, but I also did, drywall, insulation. When I worked with my uncle and he kind of was, remodeler, and he did a lot of that stuff. So I'd actually did block work, poured cement, things like that. So when I had my framing business, I had 17 employees total. I had 3 framing crews. It was pretty successful. Then, 2006, the economy started going downhill. And actually, before that, I had worked for a production home company doing quality control and structural inspections for them. And that was back in the late 80s, early 90s. So we would do phase inspections, and I'd walk a buyer through the house right before they closed and explain, I'd write up a punch list for the superintendent to fix things. Then I would explain, how things work. So at that point, I enjoyed doing that. So it was always something that I wanted to do. And then a buddy of mine who was a computer tech says, hey, I'm going to go to this home inspection class. And, it's in Canton, Ohio. It's 7 days long or whatever. It's through AHIT. So I'm like, okay, well, I want to do this. So I just went ahead and booked the hotel, took the time off. And when my buddy backed out 2 weeks prior, but I still went through it. And I remember the instructor, Mike Williams, he's out of Jacksonville, Florida. He's, there's 12 people in the room. He's like, I'm going to be honest with you, only one of you guys are going to be successful. And if you remember the movie Top Gun, when the movie Top Gun, when they're sitting in that room and, he's like, who's going to be the best of the best? And Tom Cruise kind of looks around, and he's like, it's going to be me. I kind of did the same thing. I'm like, well, I'm not here just to go through the class. This is what I want to do, and I want to be successful doing it.
Right.
So that's what I did. And because I saw the economy starting to slow down in the construction field, and it's something I wanted to do anyway. So I just pulled the trigger, and, during that whole process from doing inspections, marketing your business, things like that, the economy kept getting worse and worse and worse. But my business kept growing every year as the economy was getting worse. So
awesome.
Kind of was my shift. Was I saw, what was coming ahead. The economy was getting bad. We weren't as busy framing houses at that point. So I need to switch gears and do something else.
Awesome. So this was 2008?
This was 2006.
Okay.
When I took the class, and then it was in, I think it was October or maybe August. I took the class, and then in 2007, that's when I decided that's what I wanted to do.
Cool. So obviously you probably started out one-man show.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember when we first met. It wasn't too long after that, but I think you had 2 or 3 guys at that point. But so when did you hire your first, because there's a lot of listeners that are one-man shop, and that, you always get that question, when do you hire, that sort of thing. So at what point, like, you were a one-man show up to a certain point, and then at what point did you figure out that, you needed to hire somebody? And it's always tough to hire that first or second because you don't have a process. Once you get to your size now, you probably got a process. But tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I decided to hire my first guy it was interesting because my wife told me at one point when I first started, it was in the spring of 2007, I was excited I was doing 5 inspections, like in March, 5 inspections a week.
I remember that. Excited. I was like, hey, if I could just, I was looking for the minimum to keep the lights on.
So she said, if you're going to be successful doing this, you need to do at least 9 a week, average 9 a week throughout the whole year. And I'm like, it just took me from, I'm at a 10, it took me down to like a 1. I almost threw the hat in and went back to doing what I was doing or find a job at Home Depot. So I'm like, there's no way I can do average 9 a week. Because I knew it was seasonable. So got to the point that it is crazy looking back at it now. That, some weeks in the busy weeks we're doing 115 a week. I mean, it's just crazy. But so then I got up to the point I was doing like 480 inspections on my own at some point.
Golly.
I was wearing all the hats, so I decided I need to do something. So the first thing I did is I hired my niece as to answer phones as a part-time office assistant. So we got that in place. And then business kept getting better. So then I hired my first guy, and I actually went through 2 or 3 guys before I actually landed my first full-time guy. That's actually my general manager now. So, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, and I didn't have a process then. I mean, obviously now I have a process, and it's a lot easier to go through that with the systems that you have in place. But it just got to the point, and that was probably 2009 or 10, right about the time that we met at a 3 days event. So.
Oh, cool.
Kind of how I got that.
I second what you said there about, I kind of have gone through a revelation myself in the past 2 years where, I was okay with hiring inspectors and I got a manager, but I always did my marketing. And I never had a marketing person. And at some point, you can only scale so high until, and I had so much trouble with that. And, my manager, who's my manager over the thing, he told me, he's like, you might go through, you probably won't hit on your first hire, which, we have our egos tied up in it a little bit because, we hired that person and we're invested in them a little bit. And, my first marketing person was not good. I won't name any names, but they were not good. But in all honesty, I did some things wrong too. So the second time around, I think I got a better person. And I was a better, for me, like hiring an inspector was really, because it was very structured. Marketing's a little less structured and it's a moving target and it's a little hard to hold somebody accountable, where to me, like an inspector, it's very easy to hold somebody accountable.
Right.
And I don't know if that makes sense what I'm saying, but
no, it does.
It's very structured, easily, these are the levels, this is what you got to do the same thing every time, whatever. In marketing, it's like, well, one day you're going to be over here speaking, you're going to do this, I want you to do some coffees, I want you to do this, but it's all over the place, and it's tough, man. Do you have a marketing person?
I have 2, yes. Yep.
Wow. Tell us about that. So how did you get the marketing person? And
I've been kind of like you. I've been through several marketing people, and it's not as easy as you think, because you have to hire the right person. Someone that's personable, someone that you don't really have to micromanage because they're going to be out on their own.
But they're going to have a lot of autonomy, and
yeah, and
they could easily screw you for a while if they wanted to.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we had done is we put a tracker in a vehicle, so we can look to find out where that person was. They had an office. We can track them throughout the whole day. And we had a system where they'd fill out a sheet from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock. When they hit their first office, who they talked to, did they drop off candy, brochures, did they schedule a lunch and learn or CE class? So there's things that they have to do to be accountable, and then every day they turn it in. So we keep track of that, and then we can also look at the vehicle tracking device to see where they're actually at these places. Right. So then you get to the point that, and that's a little bit more micromanaging than you should really have to do. And like our current marketing girl, the one that's been with us the longest, she's great. She comes up with her own ideas. She's got a schedule she goes by every day, and we don't have to micromanage her.
That's great. That's what I want to get to. But, when you first hire somebody, you're not going to get that on the first day. You're not going to get that on the first. No. I totally agree with you. I'm not a micromanager, but you almost have to be in the beginning with somebody. Yep. And then eventually, because like the girl we have, she didn't know anything about the home inspection business. She literally is 23 years old. Now, I don't want to say somebody has to be this age or they have to be that. I'm a pretty equal opportunity. I don't care if you're black, white, purple. I don't care what company you could be really good at something no matter what your background is, or you could be really bad at something. You also get somebody you think should be really good, but same thing. Had a lot of stuff that I wanted her to do, but she had a lot of ideas too. And I'm like, all right, let's do this stuff first that I definitely want to do, but there'll be room on the back end, give me some of your ideas because I want, and I think that goes with people being happy too, if they are a creative person or something and they can have some input, but it sounds like
her name's Kirsten. So when we brought her in, we kind of told her what she'd be doing. So she's got a morning schedule, and then after that, she's either delivering some marketing products that we do, which are like mugs or wine bottles, and we can talk about that later. But so we give gifts to the agent to give to the buyer as a closing gift, and so she finds out which ones they want. She sends an email to them. They have to reply to the email. Which one of these? I think there's 5 different options. Would you like for your closing gift? It's free. So she keeps track of all that. We have templates from all these different things. We do everything in house with sublimation. So like one of the options is coffee mugs. It has a picture of the house on it. It says congratulations on your new home, and it's got the agent's information on the other side. So we give the agent 2 mugs to give to the buyer as a closing gift. If it's the first time the agent used us, we give them a 3rd mug for themselves that markets us and has the agent's information on the other side.
Nice.
If it's a listing agent that we can see on ISN that doesn't use us, we send that listing agent a mug. We throw some gift cards in it that has a bunch of our USPs on it, and then has their information on the other side. So it says, thank you for allowing us to inspect your house. And, this is about Linkhorn home inspections and all of our bullets. And we put gift cards in there. We give it to that agent. So it's kind of a call to action. $50 off a home inspection. We throw a couple of them in there with some candy, whatnot. So Kirsten has a process that she goes through, and everything's documented. She also, when we first started, we gave her this folder. This is what we need you to do. You fill this out every day. Well, she actually changed it and kind of made it her own.
Right.
That's easier for her to understand. So she's got a big binder that she carries with her, that she has created herself, which is what I really like, because she's 25, she's young, and she thinks outside the box. So, she came to me last week or 2 weeks ago and said, we donate to charity a lot. She goes, how about there's a list of kids that need gifts that their family can't provide. And, in the area that our office is in, it's called Westerville. It's a suburb of Columbus. She said, there's a list of them. I said, okay, what's on the list? And it was kind of sad because there was like easy things like underwear, socks, clothes. They didn't even say any toys. Some did, but most didn't. This is just what they need. And I said, all right, pick 20 families. And it was her idea. I just said, pick 20 families and we'll provide their Christmas for them. So she actually thought of that, on her own. So I thought that was great.
That's awesome. Hey, ask Kirsten, would she consider moving south? It's warmer down in Charlotte. And
there would be a cost on that,
yeah.
Like a finder's fee.
Yeah, and you have what do you call it, a non-compete or something?
Right.
No, but that's awesome, brother. That's awesome. Yeah.
So our second marketing girl, we brought her in to answer phones. So we're cross training her to answer phones on the busy days, and then she goes out marketing on the slow days. So for example, we have a call log, so we know when our busy calls are coming in. We know when our slow days are. So on the slow days, we have Stephanie doing marketing with Kirsten, at different events and different locations. But then on the busy days, we can bring Stephanie in to answer phones. So, cool. And then doing home inspections. So we'll talk to her about that at a later date.
Cool. Well, I will add to what Jerry said for all the listeners out there. You're not going to get Kirsten on your first try.
No.
And that used to bother me. And you're not going to get a great home inspector maybe your first try. It may be your second, third, or fourth before you get, and you'll get better at what to look for. But honestly, you'll get better at, we were pretty good at hiring home inspectors, know what to expect, know what we wanted, but we weren't good at hiring a marketing person because I always did it, and everything was just in my head. I didn't,
What's on paper, right?
Yeah, I didn't have a notebook. We all know about that. Have a notebook for each thing. I didn't need a notebook because I knew where I've been and all that. But good stuff.
The other thing I would add too is, for anybody new out there, and it might be a question you might ask me anyway, but I would recommend joining some sort of group, like a mastermind group. There's plenty of them out there. You can join ones on Facebook or online, but you're going to get more value when you join a group that meets in person, because most of my ideas that I had and some of the systems I have in place, I've gotten from a group. Maybe somebody else is doing something I'm not doing. Like even procedures, employee handbooks, training inspectors, what that process looks like. So if you're first starting out, I would highly recommend, talking to somebody that's seasoned, that's been in the business for a while, and pick their brain.
Absolutely.
It'll help in the future.
Well, that's great, because that actually was leading right to my next thing. Truth, transparency right here. Jerry and I both were in MIC. That's how I met Jerry. And we've known each other, I don't know, 12 years or so. 12,
yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
So MIC, which is a Millionaire Inspector Group, which is now, I guess it's
Inspection Go.
Yeah. I guess Mike sold it. And so anyway, tell us a little bit about that. I know Jerry worked his way up. We were in the same group, and I remember Jerry, when he only had 2 or 3 guys. I mean, that's successful right there. Don't get me wrong, but he's obviously grown. Some of it from what he learned from other people, but I'm not going to discount what Jerry did on his own. I mean, you have to do it. I mean, I'm a firm believer when you're ready, a teacher will appear. I mean, I've always said this. I mean, not to be arrogant, but if you're going to be successful, you're going to be successful no matter what. I'm going to find a teacher. If this teacher don't work out, I'll find another teacher. But obviously, you've learned some things from MIC. You were coaching that, and now it's transitioning Inspector Go. And I'd like you to talk more about that, because I'm still a member, but I haven't really been much in the loop on some stuff. So tell us about it. Tell us. I'll just give you the floor.
Yeah, so things have changed a lot. When you or I were in it, it was all about, we were actually in Platinum Elite in that group, and there was just 2 groups at the time. Mike coached both Platinum Elite and Platinum Prime. So as Mike grew, he kind of stepped out, and then so I coach the Platinum Elite group now, and it's there's still a lot of the same guys that are in it, but you sit around the table, and 10 years ago it was all about marketing, even 5 years ago. So as we've grown and the companies have grown in our group, we teach more about business development. It's probably a lot less marketing, and it's more about your business. Like what I do is I send a PowerPoint out to my group, and they can just kind of plug and play, just fill in the numbers. For example, how much time do you spend in business, personal, community, and you just kind of fill in these numbers. What the goal is you want to spend less time with the business, more time with your family.
Yeah.
That means you're successful, because you and I have been through this. As you grow, I mean, you're working 24/7 on the business and less time with the family. And you want that to be opposite. So you get to the point that, you've grown where you have the right people in the right places, that you're doing less work and you can spend more time with the family. But so back to the whole iGo transition, unbelievable amount of information that they're bringing in now. They're going to have webinars. They're having workshops at their platinum meetings. We probably had the best turnout that we've had in 5 years at our recent platinum meeting.
Wow.
Where before you would have, at least in my group, you would have 15 to 18 people show up. At our last meeting that was in Dallas, we had 29 people in that room, which was amazing. And, you know, you have like a Dave Sherwood, you have a Dan Deast, you have Gordon Fox, a lot of heavy hitters in that room, all kind of sharing ideas. So you basically, you run stuff around the table. And Hank Richter had always said, you know, it's his board of directors. You know, I'm having an issue, and we can do an issue process where here's my issue, which is one of the things that we touch base on. We like to get it done first. So, because if you tell me you're having an issue with something in your business, and, you know, we give everybody 45 minutes, we used to touch on that at the end. Well, I can't explain, or the group can't explain or give you ideas in a 10-minute process what to do. We can give you some hints and some ideas, and that's it. But if we start with that, what issues and challenges are you facing? Now we've got 45 minutes. Let's talk about it, because I want every member to come in with a question or a struggle or something that they're dealing with. How do we fix that? So when they leave, I want them to have a firm understanding what they need to do to fix that process. So with the whole IGO thing, they're creating a lot of buzz. They've got a lot of great just information is just that have not been provided before, especially with the workshops. Like they'll bring people in for social media training, for
that's awesome.
Yeah, for bookkeeping, SEO stuff. So they're like individual classes that you can go to throughout that week to learn different things. And, you know, even the way the groups are going to be structured in the future, you know, at some point they might have something might be called the Coaches Club, where you have all the coaches plus all the $1 million companies in one group that get coached separately by an outside source. So
that's awesome, brother. I'm going to comment on several things that you said. First of all, I mean, when I step back 10,000 feet and look at it, I agree with everything you've said. And I think it's become like an evolution. And obviously, to me, you know, if you don't have the marketing piece there, nothing else, if nothing happens till something's sold. So that is critically important. If you can't market your business, you're going to have skinny children, as what's his name says. So you've got, and that is very, very critical. But then as you grow, there's so many other components to it: the management of the people, how do you insurance, retirement, keeping people motivated, leadership. I mean, you can't, you can be a great marketer, but you could suck at being a leader, and people are going to quit all the time. I mean, and there's so many different components, and there is nobody on earth that could be naturally gifted in every area. I mean, chances are everybody's like really good at one part of it. You know, you're good at the marketing, or you're good at the technical aspect, or you're good at, leadership, but you're not a good inspector. Something, I don't know. But the thing that you learn is you figure out how to hire people, or, how to delegate for things maybe you're not good at, and that sort of thing. And I remember being part of a group. One of the best parts for me was, like, you get up, and I don't know, I haven't been to a meeting in a while, all honesty, and I probably need to go back. But it was really good because you get up and you get to do your presentation, talk about what's working, what you're having trouble with, yada, yada, yada. And then, 3 or 4 months later, you got to do it again. So I'm going to be a fraud if I get up there and I'm whining and bitching about something, and then I get up 4 months later and in front of all these same people, and I haven't done anything about it. I got to be making some go. And honestly, what would happen is, let's say it's 4 months. I would go 3 months and probably not do anything, and then realize that next meeting's coming. I'm like, shit, I got to do something. I'm going to look stupid when I get up. But, whatever it takes. If that's what it takes to get off my ass and do something, that's what I need to do. And it worked well. And, it's accountability. I mean, nobody's going to make you, embarrass you or anything. But, I have to look at myself in the mirror, and I have to, I can't be a fraud. And I think most people can't be a fraud. I mean, I can't get up there and lie about something. I can't keep complaining about the same shit over and over without having done something about it. So there was real value in, basically, it's like, all right, you told us all the same stuff 4 months ago. What have you done since then to, and there's so many different little moving parts. You're probably doing well on a couple of them, but there's always a couple of those parts that could use improvement.
So it's interesting because like in my PowerPoint I sent out, I have, write down your strength, your top 5 strengths and your top 5 weaknesses. Okay, do what you do well.
Yeah.
What you don't do well, delegate and let somebody else do it. And you had mentioned about being accountable. In Platinum, we never used to have to hold people accountable, but what I have done recently is, tell me the top 4 things that you want to work on between now and the time we meet again. So I'll write them down, and I'll bring them up at the next meeting. I'll say, okay, Preston, you said you wanted to work on your employee manual. How's that going? And if you didn't do it,
you look terrible.
It's stupid. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, I remember a story in Indianapolis, and you're going to remember this well, but, sometimes people will tell you something that's really not true, but to build a strong foundation.
I know you go
this is an inside joke.
It still pisses me off. But go ahead.
But
I'm still pissed off about that 10 years later.
But no, like if you want to have a strong foundation, then it's a good group to be in, because it'll help you improve everything within your business. And I mean, it's just, you don't tell someone that they've got a weak foundation when they're a $3 million company. So,
well, you know what? It really pissed me off, but hey, it made me work a lot harder too. So
yeah,
there's you could say maybe tough love. I don't know.
Right.
I try to. I'm a real stoic philosophy. I can only control the things I can control, and I can't waste a lot of time on something else. But I do take things personally, and I shouldn't.
Sometimes people say things that they don't think about it before they say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's kind of, the one interesting thing that you said, being accountable. So I've been a coach for 4 years now, and there's 3 different types of people that will show up to your meetings. You have the ones that are the doers. You tell them what to do, and they do it. They dig right in. They don't waste any time, and they're growing. They're growing quickly. Right. You have the ones that will kind of do half of what you tell them, and they'll grow a little bit, but slowly. Then you have the ones that, every meeting is the same story, the same old. Yeah. I got a great guy hired, and, blah, blah, blah. And then you go to the next meeting. So how's that new hire going? I fired him, but I found another guy, and he's a rock star. And then blah, blah, blah. And the next meeting, how's that rock star doing? Well, he did this, so I had to fire him. So it's the same. So it's a you problem and not so much the employee problem.
Yeah. The way that should go is you hire somebody, they don't work out. There is probably some stuff they did wrong, but there might have been some stuff you did wrong too. And you both learned. And by the second, third, maybe fourth hire, you get it right. Because you know more what to look for, and you know more like what to do and not to do yourself. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, anybody listening, if you want to grow your business, I mean, it's great, and there's financial things, and, you can do things with your kids and stuff later, but it's not going to be an easy road. I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to have to fire some people. You're going to make some mistakes on hiring people, and you're going to pay for some shit. Sorry, I don't know why that's why so much, but if you think you're going to build a successful home inspection business and you're never going to pay for any mistakes, even things that maybe aren't a mistake, but you just want to keep some people happy because it's a long, if you think you're never going to make a mistake hiring, or you're never going to, you are in fairyland.
Yeah, you have to
tell you right now.
You have to be patient. And Woody Hayes had a quote that he says, I can accept failure, but I can't accept not trying.
Yeah.
So, you or I can give someone advice, and you can go in one or not the other. We did our job, but it's your job to implement or do something with that advice if you want to grow.
Right.
So
absolutely.
That's the bottom line.
All right. Little simple question. Walk the roof or not walk the roof?
Oh, definitely walk roofs.
Cool.
Walk roofs. I mean, the standards of practice says we're not required to walk a roof, but the best way to inspect a roof. Now we have 4 drones. We also have pole cameras. So if we need them, we can use them, but without a doubt, walk a roof. I mean, I've heard from other clients that there's inspectors in our area that they want to charge extra for the guy to get a ladder out and walk on the roof, which is crazy.
Charge extra?
Yeah. I'm like, so I love my competition.
Yeah. I pretty much have the same thing with you, like you do. I tell the guys, don't ever do anything that's unsafe. I mean, but I could probably, from my days of inspecting, and I inspected for 20 years. I mean, I could probably walk on 75% of the roofs. If it's a Swiss chalet or 3 stories, I'm not walking that. I'm doing binoculars. But there's so many times there's something, on the back of a chimney, on the cricket or something that there is no way I could have seen from the ground. So obviously, I don't want anybody to break their neck for, $400, but at the same time, you just got a ranch house with a normal pitch. I mean, you should be able to walk that all day.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with crawl spaces, inaccessible. Is something inaccessible? I mean, I might, when I was inspecting, 300-400 houses a year like you, or you may do more than that. I mean, there may have been 2 crawl spaces a year that had one part that was inaccessible, and that was like a 100-year-old farmhouse. So, yeah, I don't expect you, but if you say it's inaccessible or it's too steep, and I go out there, it better damn sure be too steep for me, and it better be too small for me. I mean, my pet peeve is do not use that as a crutch or an excuse.
Right.
Anyway, let's see. We talked about marketing a little bit. What's your feeling, Jerry, on the iBuyer programs and how that'll affect our business? For all the listeners out there, the instant offer, cash offer, and there's a couple of different ones. There's, I don't know, I'm in trouble saying it, but
so it's
OfferPad, and Zillow's doing some in some market, Mark Spain.
Yeah, I think with with local social media and just more awareness. I mean, it's been around forever. It was around. It's been around forever. You're seeing more of it. I don't have too much of an opinion on it yet because it's still kind of new. But there's a process that they go through. That they have a home evaluation where you can bring a contractor in. It was interesting that you have that question too, because I like doing this because maybe it's an idea now that okay, I might put that on my brochure. iBuyer inspections. Just to bring awareness because the iBuyers are pretty much guys that'll come in and flip a house. We call it putting lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. So I don't have much of an opinion on it right now. I'm kind of interested to see what direction it goes. But it might be another opportunity to market to the iBuyers to do a home inspection, because a lot of them, they're buy as is, and you still need to find out the condition of the house, because you don't want to buy it as is and find out later that you've got a mold problem in the attic or a structural problem in the basement or crawl space or a leak or something.
Yeah, I try to look at everything from 10,000 feet. Like, instead of getting caught in on the specifics, look at them. And I look at it. Why do iBuyer programs exist? Let's look at basic math. And if something doesn't make money, eventually it will go out of business. I mean, that's just, you can run on a deficit for a while, but eventually whatever money, that's speculation that it will make money at some point. Most iBuyer programs are basically hedge funds. I mean, they're people investing, and you might have a head of it that's whatever company, but it's a hedge fund. It's people are investing, so there's a bunch of money in it. So what are hedge funds? They're trying to make an arbitrage, really. So real estate agents, whatever. When a house is sold, there's a fee. They don't get sold for free. I mean. And normally with a real estate agent, it's 6%, 3 each side. I mean, I know it's not written down anywhere or law, but that's kind of the generally accepted.
Right.
3% for the seller's agent, 3% for the buyer's agent. And the seller pays it. That's not the buyer, be crazy not to get an agent because they don't even have to pay them. So, what the iBuyer program is like, all right, can we cut into that 6% or can we be part of that and, market it on all these, apps and all this stuff that, real estate, still back in the phone book, in their mind or whatever. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, I know this is your interview. I don't mean to hijack it. At first, I was kind of threatened by it because I was kind of spooked. But, you know, once my mind started evolving, I was like you said, they've been around forever. We buy ugly houses. It's just now we buy pretty houses.
Right.
But, you know, they're not buying high-end houses. They're, you know, we've dealt with a couple of them. They're buying the ones they're basically flipping the house. From a home inspector standpoint, I know this is a home inspector podcast, people are still getting a home inspection. So it's still, I mean, you know, I can't tell you how many we've inspected that were an offer pad house or whatever. So in one sense, it's not hurting our business. The only worry I have, and again, I can only control what I control, but I'm always, paranoia keeps you alive in combat, you know.
Right.
The only thing I worry about is if at some point it gets to where they buy it, have their own, and they don't, you know, they don't have to have a licensed inspector. I don't care what state you're in. If they're buying it for themselves, you don't have to have an inspector when you are the client. You can inspect your own house. And if then they flip it and that they market that report or something, that hasn't happened. And maybe I'm worrying about nothing. Is, you know, that they cut us out. I don't know. That's just, and I don't want to be thick and little or anything like that. I think at the end of the day, I think we're going to be all right because there's always going to be a market for an unbiased third party, because no matter how you cut that, the person selling the house, if the person who inspected is connected to them by the hip, then there's obviously a chance for, you know, whatever. And I don't know. That's just my feelings. What's your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm kind of threatened by it. You know, there's a process that they go through, you know, where they had to do a home evaluation, you know, from the thing that I know about it, where they bring a contractor in, you know, to pretty much give them an estimate. And one of the things that we do, we have a couple local contractors, and I'm probably giving some information I probably shouldn't yet, because there's some things that I'm working on that are coming out. But we're basically have a program that we're doing free pre-listed inspections, and we bring a third-party contractor in. We do an inspection. They write up an estimate of what it's going to cost to repair these items, and that contractor, if the inspection was $450, they'll actually give the client $450 back if they use that contractor that came up with the estimate. So basically, it's paying for the home inspection. So you can do the same thing with the iBuyer program. You start marketing that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to be all right. For me personally, it was like 1 year our big scheduling thing got sold, and that kind of freaked us out. And then shortly after that, the iBuyer thing got on the scene, you know, and I got freaked out twice. And finally I said, you know what, and I'm getting older, I'm just like, you know what, I can only control what I can control.
Right.
And I'm not going to worry about all those things I can't control. If you keep doing a good job and keep, you know, putting out a good quality product, you know, I mean, I'm not going to be, don't get me wrong, I don't want to be Sears. I do want to adjust with the time, but worrying about something that I can't control is a waste of my time. Just, you know, you somebody told me one time, what is it? You can't do anything about the waves, but you can learn how to surf.
Yeah.
So, you know, whatever comes, I'll just adapt. We always have. So,
yeah, that's important too. And, you know, that'd be advice I'd give to anybody that's in the inspection industry. Times change. So don't get stuck in a rut and keep doing the same thing over and over again. With anywhere from technology, you know, we always try to have the latest, greatest tools.
sure.
You know, and people realize that. You know, we do meth inspections, VOC inspections, we do formaldehyde inspections. I mean, we do the whole gamut, you know, so it's kind of a one-stop shop. People know that we do that. Even your report software, don't get stuck on the same, you know, if your report software is the same as it was 10 years or even 5 years ago, you're missing the boat. You know, we have meetings every 2 weeks with our guys, and we talk about ways that we can improve our software, whether it's comments, you know, we can put in limitations, something like that, whether it's color, we're always improving it. So I'm not going to say we improve it every 2 weeks, but there's ideas that come in, and we're probably making tweaks once a month to make it best reporting software out there.
Awesome. Yeah, good advice. Well, kind of, you've been doing this all along, but I'll go ahead and ask the question anyway. What advice would you give to someone, and I'm sure you get this all the time, hey, Jerry, I'm thinking about going into home inspection business.
Right.
What advice would you give? Here, have a drink.
More than one or just one?
Whatever. I mean, whatever you feel comfortable with.
So there's so much.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess just pick out the best one or two, then maybe.
I would say have integrity. You know, if I'll give you a good example. You know, in our business, if you screw up and you miss something, you have E&O insurance. Your contract says you can basically, you know, you give the money back or twice the money back that's in your agreement, and that's it. So we've had an instance a year and a half ago where we had a guy miss a masonry fireplace pulling away from the house about 1.5 inches. It wasn't a lot, but it was pulling away. And my inspector manager went out. It was going to cost our client $8,000. So you probably know where this is going. So I called him up. I said, I need to make a, you know, is there any gray areas? He said, no, our guy flat out missed it. I'm like, all right, well, tell the buyer I'm going to write him a check for $8,000. Not everybody can do that, but I have to sleep at night knowing that my client paid $600 for a home inspection and we missed an $8,000 problem. You know, I have to sleep with that at night, knowing that the buyer had to pay all that money. So I just did the right thing, and I wrote a check for $8,000 for something we missed. Now, some of you guys might think that's crazy, but that's integrity. You know,
no, I've done it. Well, and the thing is, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna use insurance for $8,000 problem because they're gonna raise my rates and they're gonna get that $8,000 back.
Exactly.
Insurance is for $100,000 problem.
Yep.
You know, if it's less than 10, it's gonna hurt, but I'm gonna pay it. I mean, I'm just gonna pay it and not, you know, get my rates straight. But you know what? We are never going to miss that same thing again, ever.
Exactly.
It'll be the greatest learning lesson you've ever seen.
Well, one of the things recently too that, you know, we have a 90-day warranty that we self-fund, and our warranty says it will repair or replace anything. So we had a furnace that actually quit working. It was about the 80th day. Worked during the inspection, but it was an older furnace. It had been maintained and serviced recently, and it's quit working. They no longer make that. Well, they don't longer make the furnace, but it was more expensive to repair it than it would be to replace it. So we paid $3,900 for a new furnace under our 90-day warranty. You know, some people think that's crazy, but you know,
I'm gonna hire you to inspect my next house, man.
that's just, you know, that's just what you do. I mean,
no, I got you.
You know, and it's a numbers game. You know, we know that, you know, about a probably less than 0.25% of our annual revenue is going to go to unhappy campers that we have to give money back, or it's going to go to our warranty or our oops fund. So we know that less than 25% of our revenue is going to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I totally agree. I mean, there's a certain percentage that, you know, if you own a restaurant, if you've ever been in the restaurant business, every night they're giving away a few free meals. That's just the way it works, or some free appetizers, because even when you do everything, if something's going to happen, somebody's food got late. I mean, you try to do the best you can, and you certainly don't want to have chronic problems. But even when you're top shelf, you're going to have a few problems, and that's what's going to keep you top shelf with the way you handle it. You know, and that's, you know, you can also turn a problem into a marketing opportunity as well.
The other advice I give to someone that's going into business, you know, another thing is be patient. Have great service. So, you know, you've been to Disney, right?
Yep.
You know, a lot of people have been to Disney. It's the experience that Disney gives people. That's why they have repeat customers. People want to keep going back to Disney, even though the prices keep going up, because they have a great experience. I recently, because my wife wanted it, bought a Lexus. And I'm not a Lexus guy, but I bought it. And I'll tell you what, their service is unbelievable. You pull your car up, they have coffee, they have donuts, they have snacks, they have TVs, they have Wi-Fi, they have this unbelievable lounge. And oh, by the way, Mr. Linkhorn, you need a car to drive while we're servicing your car. Oh yeah, that'd be great. They pull you up the same car that you dropped off, you know, the same type of car, and they just text you when your car is ready and you come back. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So it's that experience that you want your clients to experience.
Well, and that creates the wow effect. Like when things go over the top, even though that might be expensive for them to provide, you know what happens is a certain percentage of people are going to text or put it on social media that this is awesome. That's free publicity for them. And you know what? The fact they do all that as you get older, especially, you know, when I was younger, I just went for the cheapest whatever because I didn't have any money.
Right.
And now it's like, you know what? I'm going to pay a little more to have that because that, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, I'm marketing in other cities and I have to spend the night. And man, when I was younger, I would just get, you know, the cheapest hotel I could find. And now I'm like, I mean, I don't get the Ritz-Carlton. I'm not at that level, but I'm like, I'm going to pay a little bit more to have a little bit nicer hotel, a little bit nicer, you know, I'm like, because I'm not doing that anymore. It's worth that to me.
And that's, you know, another good piece of advice for people is, you know, learn from what you've gone through or what I've gone through, you know, join a mastermind or reach out to these other people because, you know, we could tell you what not to do. So you don't have to go through that process, but figure out what you want to do in your business, in your life. You know, do you want to be a single man operation or do you want to be a multi-inspector firm? Because you and I are both in the position that we can afford the nicer hotels, the nicer cars, the nicer homes, things like that. If we didn't get there from not doing anything, we got there from listening and taking advice and growing your business and providing great service. I mean, that's how you get to where you want to be.
Oh yeah, I mean, there was a time in my life the nicer hotel wasn't even an option.
Right.
Just a hotel, period. It would have been like, hey, can I sleep on a friend's floor? Yeah. Anyway, well, we're starting to wind down. Speaking of which, like once you get to a nicer place, if you could sell your business for $100 million, or you won the lottery for one way or another, Jerry Linkhorn has $100 million tomorrow. What would you do?
That's hard to say. I mean, it's kind of like obviously it's like winning the lottery. I'm not materialistic, you know, even though I had to buy my wife a Lexus because she is. But I have a Dodge pickup.
Happy life.
Right. You know, I have a Dodge pickup truck and I've got a Jeep Wrangler. So that's the kind of person I am.
Oh, I got a Tacoma. So yeah. And it's the nicest truck I've ever had.
Yeah. But if I won $1 million, obviously I'd take care of my family, my friends, even the ones that root for Clemson. But you know, I'm big on donations, so I'd probably donate most of it to all different types of charitable contributions. You know, and a lot for like homeless pet shelters, things like that. You know, we've got a lot of pets that we capture and release to get spayed or neutered. But yeah, I think I would live happily. I mean, my wife and I just bought a condo down in Florida, so nice. I don't have to do that.
What part?
Punta Gorda. Okay,
is that on East? I'm not familiar. Is that
on the Gulf?
On the Gulf.
It's just north of Fort Myers, about 30 minutes. In fact, Bob Massanova did my inspection on it.
Oh, did he? Oh, yeah. Gosh. Does he have insurance? I'm just kidding.
Right. So I'm hoping something breaks so I can use his warranty.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
But,
well, you guys have cheap flights. We got cheap flights to Florida now, which is great.
Yeah, so Legion. We have a Legion as well, and they fly about 3 or 4 days a week, and it's one flight in, one flight out. In fact, the week
like
before
$50
Thanksgiving,
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$130 to $180 round trip. My wife got off the plane on a Friday morning before Thanksgiving. She was down there for a week. She handed me the keys to the condo and the keys to the car we have down there. And I passed her at the airport, gave her a high five and a little kiss, and I went down there on the same plane she got off of.
Nice.
So, and I was down there for a week, meeting contractors and replacing can lights and stuff.
Yeah, we got a Legion here that flies out of Concord, which is like a little small airport, and I love it, man, because you go right in there, the big airport, Charlotte Douglas, you got to park a mile away, take the shuttle and go through. This is just so easy. I've had a good experience. We've been on 3 or 4 Allegiant flights down to Florida. Now, I have heard some horror stories, because I'm sure they're, it's a budget airline,
Right.
but for us personally, I think one flight was delayed. We've been to Florida. We've just gone on a whim. One from St. Pete back was delayed, but, I've had regular flights delayed. I mean, it was delayed like an hour and a half, but all things total, I've had pretty good experience with it.
Yeah, it's don't watch 60 Minutes.
You'll never fly again.
But yeah, exactly. But from what I had heard that they've really, because of that 60 Minute story a couple of years ago, they really have changed things around. And I mean, at the plane that I was on, it was a newer plane, comfortable, and yeah, it was easy. I mean, it's actually 15 minutes from our condo because they fly into Punta Gorda, and then they're out of a small airport in Columbus as well.
Nice. Yeah, I'm all for it. Well, let me, I know I've been holding you up, and it's Sunday. I don't know when you guys are listening to this, but I'm sure Jerry's got stuff. I got lunch, too. Fortunately, they're delivering it. That's something else that's involved. You're talking about hotels. Like when you first started out, you're staying at Motel 6, and now you're like, I'm at least up to a loft or somewhere like that, Used to, we made stuff in our kitchen and whatever, and I delivered it. And then I got to where I bought stuff at Costco, but we had to do some stuff. Now I don't know if you guys have Publix, but we have Publix, and it's pretty nice. And now they deliver it, and it's so nice. I'm talking about doing a lunch for a group of realtors. In the old days when I had to not only do you have to get up there and do your speech and all that, you got to prep all the food and bring it. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Just takes time.
Yeah, now it's worth more to me, and this place will do it. It's not crazy expensive, and it's $15 for them to deliver. I'll do that all day long, man. And now I just, all I got to do is go in, just make sure the food's there, and, maybe tweak it a little bit, but go out and do my little thing. And it's so much easier where, when I used to have to do a lunch, I had to go out the day before, buy all that shit, put it all together. It was a big production, and now it's just pretty easy. I don't know if you've sort of got into that sort of thing.
Yeah, we don't have a Publix here. Now down at our condo there's a Publix, but yeah, we have a Kroger's and a Giant Eagle here, but they're not doing that yet. At least that I know of. But I'm gonna check into that though.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, and email Meg, she can tell you more about it. I mean, they have a whole menu. I mean, it's so much. It's made my life so much easier. And I'm all about that. I'm 50, man. I'm not into making my life harder. I'm into making my life easier.
Exactly.
But anyway, just a couple more quick questions. We'll get into the lightning round, and I'll let you go. Price shoppers. I know you have them. We all have them. They call you, hey, Mr. Linkhorn, how much for an inspection? And, how do you handle that? What's your, and we don't, and to tell all the listeners out there, we don't want all the business. If that is all they want, then they're not for me. I mean, probably not.
Yeah, so we have a standard home inspection, and you get 2 different types of callers. We've experienced this. Hey, I need to schedule a home inspection, and want to see what your availability is. Okay, we know they're going to book with us. Then we get the ones that say, hey, I just went into contract, and you get a price on a home inspection. So that first. The one thing that they said is I need to get a price on the home inspection. So our office girls know that they're the price conscious people. So they'll say, well, with all the services you want, your home inspection is going to be, $555. And that includes, infrared, our warranties, all the warranties that are included that we have, the infrared camera is included. And they'll say, so then they'll say, after that, they'll say, if you're just looking for the best price, we have a basic where you get the home inspection, we take $50 off, so now it's $505, but you don't get any of the extras. For example, you don't have the warranty, you don't have the buyback program, and that you don't get the infrared, which the infrared standalone is $350. So we have figured out that 37% of the price shoppers will actually go with our standard price as opposed to the cheap price because because it doesn't come with all the additional services. So we give them the standard price first. Then we say for $50 less is our basic. You just get the home inspection. That's it. you don't get all this other stuff. When we bring up the infrared, because we do an infrared scans alone for $350. But I do have my office girls know that between Thanksgiving and the second week in January, I don't care what it takes. I don't care how much money we're going to lose on a home inspection. Just book it. If I lose $150, I don't want to hear about it. Just book it. You know, and it's a numbers game. You have a very, very, very small percent of people. You know, I think, you know, it hadn't happened this year yet, but I think last year, I think we only had 2 that we had to give a discount of that much just to book the inspection.
Yeah, that kind of leads to my next question, seasonality. Do you have it? Of course, I know the answer to that. How do you handle that? You know, and especially when you got multiple guys you're trying to keep busy, how do you handle it?
Yeah, so it's interesting because when you ask that question, I'm like, first thing that came to my mind is we had this seasonal, but not like it used to be. Like it used to be, you know, we'd drop off 50%, you know, come September and October and November. It'd even be worse than that. Now it's probably 15%. So our drop off isn't that much at all. But from the week of Thanksgiving, you know, we do have a bigger drop off. So our drop off isn't that much. And one of the things that we do with some of our guys is we give them a guaranteed minimum paycheck. So for example, if you're only doing 2 inspections, you're still going to get X. I hope my guys aren't listening because we don't give it to all of them.
No, that's good.
It's the more seasonal guys.
Yeah, I mean, seasonal, it happens in every business. I mean, it's literally like when we see we can see like the number of houses sold on our thing. And I mean, no matter how you put it, I mean, there's like half the houses sold in December that are sold in May. And I mean, you can be the greatest marketer in the world, but you're not, I mean, you're going to have some drop off. I don't care who you are.
Right. Well, one of the things too is, you know, we tell our guys every spring, summer, and like in our meetings, we constantly remind them, look, you guys are in your busiest season. We got to make hay when the sun shines. You know, we got a guy that doesn't do any inspections on weekends, but he's still going to make $76,000 this year. Then we have guys that'll work 7 days a week, but they also know that it's going to be slow. So we just constantly remind them, you know, save your money because, you know, we're getting in the slow season. Sure, we're not going to be as busy. Now, this year's probably been the best year that we've had because we really haven't slowed down that much at all. I mean, a little bit, but not like it has in the past.
And I know you guys want to like vacation in the summer like everybody, but man, if you could be a winter vacationer,
yeah,
your end amount of money is going to be so much better and work through the busy time. Take your vacation in the winter. So.
Yeah, I mean, one thing we have a system and a policy that we have a vacation board. And it's first come, first serve. So we can't have 2 inspectors can't be gone the same week or the same day. So in the vacation time with families and stuff, it's first come, first serve. So somebody puts on second week in June now, you know, that's gone. That guy has that slot. So
that's smart, man. I like it. All right, Jerry, we are going into the lightning round. Quick questions. And I'm sure there's probably some millennial inspectors out there that would be like, what the hell are y'all talking about? Ginger or Mary Ann?
Mary Ann.
Mary Ann, me too. Football or basketball?
Football, definitely.
Me too. All right, can you finish the lyrics to this song? I did a little research to try to find folks from Ohio. And I'll just tell you this, I didn't go with Marilyn Manson. I don't know any of that dude's songs. I do know this person's song, so I'm going to play just a little bit of it, see if you can finish it and identify the song. This person is from Ohio. Oh, well, I can't show it to you.
I can't hear it.
Can you hear it?
Oh, yeah.
Give you a little bit more. Not sure where the mic is on this thing. Bottle is the way it is. Oh, okay. Look like this. You and I can both get jobs drive away in
I can't answer that one. Don't know that one.
Fast Car. Tracy Chapman.
Oh, okay.
Tracy Chapman. So yeah, I looked up. I was like, that's kind of going to be my new thing, just to make it fun. So I was like, all right, I'm going to look up somebody from their home state. It was kind of interesting, all the people that were from Ohio. I was like, artists from Ohio, Marilyn Manson. There were a couple of others. There were one or two that I wish I had in front of me.
Eric Clapton's from Ohio.
Is he really?
Yeah, he actually has a house in Columbus.
Oh, I would have pulled that. That would have been a better one to
Yeah.
Yeah, well, cool. So is he from Columbus?
I don't know if he's from there originally, but I know he's been around for a long time, so he might be from Columbus. I don't know.
Cool. I do have another Columbus quick question on the lightning round. I'm adding this. Do they still? I used to be. I'm not as much. When I was a teenager, I was into bodybuilding. I was really into that. Do they still have the Arnold Classic? I think that was in Columbus.
It gets bigger and bigger every year. Yes.
What?
It's usually
what? That's correct. I'm curious. I should know this, but I don't. Why Columbus? Arnold has his big. It's probably only second to the Olympia, I think. But why did he choose Columbus? Does he have a tie there or something, or you know?
Yeah, and I can't remember the guy's name. The guy that owns or used to own all the world's gyms.
Okay.
I've met the guy before, but I can't think of his name right now. But him and Arnold are really close.
Okay.
And I can't remember. Actually 5 years ago, I would have remembered the guy, but it's usually the first weekend in March. But it's really big.
Yeah, I still kind of follow it, but not like I used to. I will say, I was kind of into it as a teenager, but I mean, that's an entire. If you're into bodybuilding and want to compete seriously, that's a full-time job. I mean, that's all.
I'll tell you what, if you're ever around, it's a great, probably one of the best places to go people watch.
Is it the world? Is it the World's Gym or Gold's Gym? What is it? The contest itself, I guess.
Well, the actual expo itself. It's just when you go in all the vendors where they're selling their protein powders and all this other stuff. I mean, you go through the exhibit hall on a Friday. Friday's the best day because it's not as busy. It's packed. But Saturdays and Sundays, I mean, you want to see a freak show? That's where you want to go. It's freaking crazy.
But you know what's cool too? In my experience, like with bodybuilders, they're like celebrities in bodybuilding. Sir, I mean, there's people I'm like, oh my gosh, Bill Hicks,
right.
Or Lee Haney, and my wife has no idea who this is. You know what I mean? But most of them,
behind me on the shelf, I've got a picture of Monica Brandt. I got autograph. Yeah.
Nice. But my point is, most of them, that my experience, I mean, at a show like that, they'll take a picture with you. They'll, I mean, they're fairly accessible. I mean, I wouldn't go up to somebody while they're at dinner with their family, but if they're at a show and they're out in the lobby and they're doing their thing, they'll probably take a picture with you.
Yep.
But anyway, well, a couple more lightning round questions. Christmas Vacation or Elf?
Oh my gosh. Two of my favorites.
My favorite. Shitter's Claw, Clark.
That's a tough one. I know. I love both of them. I would probably, if I were to watch one right now, I'd probably say Elf, just because I saw Christmas Vacation yesterday.
Oh, okay.
So my wife had it on while we were decorating. So, but
that's a tough one. I know.
Yeah, I would probably have, if it's in the middle of summertime and it's not during the Christmas movies aren't on, I would probably be Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, I'd probably go Christmas Vacation, but my wife would go Elf. I'm pretty positive about that.
They're both good.
Yeah, Animal House or Caddyshack?
Caddyshack. Caddyshack.
Love Caddyshack. Celebrity crush?
J-Lo.
J-Lo. Wow, that's cool. See, you don't get this on any other podcast.
Right.
If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, and, I want to take out, like, a family member because, everybody would probably say their dad or something. And I get that, but I want to, for what I'm going after, I'm going to say not a family member. If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
If not family member, Jesus Christ.
Good one.
Yeah, that's a family member. Probably probably be my grandfather that was in the building industry.
Right.
He did home inspections. He did county inspections. After he retired, he was our county kind of code enforcement inspector. And this was a long time ago. But just because he would be interested in seeing what the home inspection industry is now, because there wasn't, back then.
Yeah.
He was just doing code stuff, but he would be really intrigued he was a big pickup truck guy. So seeing the pickup trucks now, when the pickup trucks, from the 70s, when he had one, just like night and day in technology. I mean, he wouldn't get it, a lot of the technology, but the trucks, he'd be amazed by, and the tools that we use and what we look for in the inspection industry, he would be interested in.
Good, man. That's good. I'm glad I changed up these questions. I mean, it was getting stale for all the listeners. I mean, the old podcast, I was like, I had to mix it up. And I got a lot of other podcasts I listen to, and I like some of the stuff they do. So that was kind of the thought process. I know you're probably like, why is he asking me this crazy stuff? But it just kind of made it more fun. Last two questions. But this is a throwback from the old one, but maybe you found something new. But it was always a popular one. Craziest thing you or one of your guys found on home inspection?
I don't know if I could say this on a podcast. There was a toy found on a top shelf of a closet, and it was just when my guy, he didn't know what it was, and he had to remove it from the shelf, and he had to grab something to remove it. He didn't know what it was until later. That was probably the craziest thing. One of the craziest things I've seen is I showed up on a house, opened up the basement door. It was actually a new build inspection. There was water up to as high as the second step going down in the basement. So it was probably about 7-8 foot deep of water.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, crazy. And I have learned since in that whole area, I mean, a lot of rain and stuff, but there's some issues with the groundwater. So that builder had to put 2 sump pumps in every one of those basements because of the groundwater.
Wow.
But raccoons, and thank God we don't have snakes like you guys do, because I hate snakes. But
we went on a hike yesterday. My daughter and I and her friend, we went on a hike, and it was really cold. And that was our one solace. We were like, oh, it's so cold. But I'm like, but on the good side, snakes can't move.
Right.
Because I've seen snakes. I've been under a crawl space like on a November day, and it was like, and I saw this. I thought he was dead, and he wasn't, but he could not move. He could not move. That's my solace. If it's cold, they can't move.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jerry, thank you so much. We've got a lot of value. First of all, how can the listeners give you some likes or something that'll help you out, your Facebook? And then I'm going to let you, if you've got anything you want to plug or Inspection Go. I should ask you this before. I'm not sure. I know you were coaching with MIC. I'm not sure if you're coaching with them, but if you want to give them a plug, go right ahead. But basically, you've given us a lot of value. How can the listeners give you some value?
Yeah, so just search for Linkhorn Home Inspections on Facebook, and you can find us. Give us some likes. Yes, and to answer your question, I'm still coaching with IGO. They had just put a new contract together for all the coaches, which is good for us because it's now we're finally getting paid what we should be getting paid. Before it was almost voluntarily. So that means that the coaches will be working even harder to provide more valuable information. And like I said, what's going to happen with IGO in the future is they're going to have different group sizes in the platinum group. So, if you're a 100 to a 300K company, then the marketing's most important at that point, because you need to market your business. Because like you said, you could be the best home inspector out there, but if you're not marketing, you're not growing your business. So that's critical then. And then when you get the more seasoned groups, that's when the business development comes in more handy and more valuable. But, for the newer guys, yes, it's, we're going to teach you about marketing, when you should hire, when you should fire. We'll help you with employee handbooks, onboarding process. What do you do when you hire somebody? What's going to happen? Like, we bring somebody in before their first day for orientation, get all the paperwork filled out, let them know what they're going to be doing. They meet the office staff. So when they come in day one, they can be productive. Like, I actually bought my own house of horse that we run our office out of.
Nice.
And so when we bring a new guy in, we teach him how to do windows, doors, outlets, walls, and ceilings. So he could actually inspect a bedroom, a dining room, a living room, just your basic room first. So when he's out learning how to do inspections with our guys, he's also helping them because he can be productive day one. He already knows how to do the windows, the doors, the outlets. So we train them in our house of horrors. It's a ranch. It's got it, the guy that we bought it from fixed it up, put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. We had 43 items on our summary page of repair items.
Wow.
So,
well, cool. Well, and you guys, the IGO, you've got an event coming up too, right? Would you recommend that our listeners, if they're curious or want to grow their business, go to the event? And how would they learn more about that?
Yeah, so it's the 3 days of Secrets Revealed that was under the MIC, and they're still having it. It's in Dallas. It's the last week in February. There's going to be vendors there. There's going to be workshops. There may even be some CE classes there. But last I heard yesterday, because I was at their Christmas party Friday, they had 700 people register for it so far.
Wow.
So, because they have 700 registered doesn't mean they're going to have that many there. But, here it is. It's only, December, and more will get registered. So it should be the biggest event that they've ever had. And, I'd recommend going if you want to learn more about the business. Well,
and I'll tell you, when I've been going to them for a while, but the first time I went to one, I was like at the bodybuilding contest. There's certain people who were celebrities to me. I'm like, oh my God, that's Gordon Fox.
Right.
That's Wally Conway. That's the Happy Home Inspector. I read his book. I mean, now, which is great because these guys are all accessible and they're friendly. I count them as my friends. But at the time, I was like, and I know my wife's like, but in my circle of being a home inspector, these guys were celebrities, and they still are. But they're my friends now.
Yeah, one of the things you brought up a good point, because I was the same way. I'm like, I didn't approach these guys because they seem like they're in a different world. Like, you don't want to walk up to a celebrity and bother them or whatever. But we encourage people all the time. If you see somebody that's such as myself or someone like you, approach us. That's what we're there for, is to help. And you're one of the celebrities as well. When we first joined, like you said, it was Gordon Fox and Wally and Kevin O'Malley. And in fact, Kevin will be at this next one. But even John Villela, I remember him. He was a big dog back then. And it was just nervous to talk to him. And I remember my first 3 days, I asked Gordon Fox if I could buy him a drink, and I sat, and I think we had 2 drinks at the bar and chatted for about an hour and a half, and it was one of the best things I've ever done.
And that 2 drinks probably wound up making you $50,000 more in a year, or more. At least. At least. That was the best investment. I wish I could get $50,000 back on every 2 beers I bought.
Right.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much, Jerry. And again, go to Linkhorn Inspections on Facebook. Give them some likes. And can they email you if they have some questions for you privately?
Yeah, they can. The email is info@linkhorninspections.com. And I want to say, go Buckeyes.
Oh, man. Hey, can I clip that part out? No clips. All right, brother. Hold on. Let me